This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, and Medical Gear Outfitters.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 286, Winching Through the History of Warren.
Tonight, Aaron's looking for some boost, Coy tries to find some snow, and Ben pops a water pimple.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, the podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Ben. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron, our guest, Coy from the Blazing Barbecue Podcast, and our guest, Andy. And there we go.
I think you missed.
Weekend Review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the day or traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And while you're there, make sure you use Off-Road Podcast for 10% off.
I almost forgot our buddy Jeremy there. He's with us in spirit right now.
With us in spirit, exactly. Yeah. Somehow we already lost Coy. He ghosted us.
He's gone into the green wonder.
Oh boy.
So what's up, Aaron? What's new, man?
Hey, look! Hey, there he is. There's
cool.
Coy. Hey, we're
still podcast training children.
We've already got some comments here in the show notes that say, or not in the show notes, in the notes section. Over Ram 3500 says perfect timing. He's buying a Warren this week. I'm not sure if he's buying the company out or what's going on. It says he's buying a Warren, so we'll see. We'll find out. You might have a new boss, Andy.
Here's what it is.
So Ben, I think you misspoke. I think you said the Blazing Barbecue Podcast. It's the Blazing Barbecue Booster Podcast that
oh geez, yeah,
co-host on.
That's what happens. You have the dyslexic guy read new things.
Yeah, Blazing Booster Barbecue Podcast or something.
You
like
guys
that.
are one man slaughterhouse. Literally butcher the name of the podcast so bad.
I gotta get you guys back for the times that I come on there and I'm introduced as like a gardening fetish podcast or something. I can't remember exactly what I've been.
We do correct eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got Coy guest hosting for Jeremy, and he is from the Boost Booze and Barbecue Podcast. So make sure you check that out if you like learning about barbecue food or anything automotive, because it's not just boosted cars and some booze. They always have like a beer of the week they drink out of a paper bag or something. I can't remember exactly how it works.
That's what happens when you don't drink, huh?
Yeah. Well, Ben, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I got to go camping. So I camped 1 month at once every month for the year 2020, which was a battle, as everyone kind of knows. And I got to use my new rooftop tent this time. The last time I tried to use it, I was on an uneven slope and it was blowing snow and just not the best time to do that. So I slept in my 4Runner that time with a rooftop tent on the top. How that makes sense, it's beyond me. So I got to use it this time, and I discovered the leak was a lot worse than I thought. Actually, I've got video for everyone for that. So if you're listening, I'm sorry, but if you're watching, it's totally worth it.
Proceed.
Oh wait, I'm gonna actually have the knife out.
Ben's new tent, ladies and gentlemen.
Isn't that Olaf? So yeah, that's my tent, and it's was it vinyl with the foam backing, and it's pulled away from the ceiling because the amount of moisture there. Yeah, lots of fun. So that's getting ready to come in the garage. I already knew about it because the ceiling was sagging when I bought it. I got it for a good deal. I ain't complaining. It's a project. I like projects, so yeah. The joys of vehicles. Outside of that, it's just been cleaning my garage so I can get it in here. I've got the schoolhouse in here too, so I'm trying to like move more crap out of my garage to make space for the tent because I need like minimum just for the tent is 7x5, so I need more space.
Yeah, it's large.
It is large. So,
Can you put it on edge instead of putting it flat? Can you work on it on edge, like leaning against a wall?
no, because I need to have it fully open to work on the inside of it, and I got
Okay. All right.
yeah, that sucks. So
How close are you to being able to open it inside the garage right now? Like how much room?
like 2
Well,
feet.
there's an LM. You can see there's an LMTV behind him that he needs to get out of the way.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Could you pull your 4Runner in the garage and then remove all the wheels and tires, set it on the ground, and then pop it up?
No, it's coming off the roof of the 4Runner. But
I too like to live dangerously.
yeah, no, it's gonna go on some sawhorses in the garage. So I'm gonna climb in there and
He'll be
work.
sleeping out there
Sawhorses have always
eventually
been
in
the safest way to work on things.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
No.
I'll probably die. It's okay. I'm used to it. Kind of like when I was leaving for the trip, I couldn't get a hold of Aaron. I was like, oh, hey, do you guys know how to get a hold of him? Oh, okay. I guess I'll just randomly find him. No,
Wing it.
lucky.
Wait, I was sending out like satellites and doing all kinds of stuff to figure that out. By that, I texted my ham radio nerd, and he just hooked me up with exactly how it's done. But
Yeah, and it still didn't help because he didn't have his APRS on.
he hasn't had it on since July. That's what I came up with. So I'm not sure why he has an APRS system.
Yeah.
Oh, the joys of that.
Maybe that's the one he shares publicly. He probably has a private one for his my fans only followers. Literally, their followers.
Yeah. Well, what
I
about
love
you?
the way you say it just wrong enough that I'm tempted to correct you, but then proving that I know what the real name is. It's genius, quietly genius.
Well, Aaron, what about you, man?
Let's see here. So my wife, so we're going to buy that truck, and I told you last week that Grandpa's truck wasn't going to work out. So she, all on her own, came up with the idea of selling her minivan and using the money from that and the money we had set aside for a truck to buy a newer, nicer truck. And we've whittled it down to a 2014 and newer Ford F-150 with the 3.5 EcoBoost and the max tow package. Can't be white, has to have 4 doors, and needs to have a 6.5 foot bed. So we're starting to shop.
Is that does that have enough towing capacity?
It has an amazing amount of towing capacity. It's like 11,800 pounds or 12,800 pounds. It's incredible. They get that extra capacity because Ford started doing the aluminum beds and aluminum everything.
Gotcha.
And it dropped like 700 pounds of vehicle weight, which allows you to increase your towing capacity and your payload capacity. So it'll more than tow a 7,000 pound trailer or whatever we're going to hitch up to it.
So is the
250.
is the no white color your preference or hers?
Hers. She doesn't want to own a white vehicle. She did say that if a white one was cheap enough that we could buy a white one and vinyl wrap it. So,
Well, because you can get,
Option.
fleet vehicles are generally white, so you can get some really good deals on white ones.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Correct. But it seem like those fleet vehicles are like the base of base models and they have rubber everything. So
The vinyl seats and the whole 9 yards.
yeah. Doesn't have power steering, doesn't have power windows, doesn't have power brakes, nothing's power.
Doesn't have brakes.
Doesn't it only comes with rear brakes. The
Yeah,
e-brakes
just-
are actually you have to pull the
Just-
handbrake every time you want to
It's a
stop.
Ford, so it just breaks.
Oh, boom.
Yeah. So that's where we're going. So yeah, mommy wants a twin turbo Ford. And I'm not gonna tell her no. Besides that, I've started buying parts for my Titan swap. I bought lower control arms and tie rod ends for front and back, or in and out. I guess it's inner and outer tie rod ends. And I've located a front diff that's already got an ARB air locker in it.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I'm excited to start collecting those parts. I'm in talks with some Nissan specific shops that I'm trying to decide exactly what coilover to go with. I'm inclined to spend the most money I can, but I might not really need to spend the most money I can. I'm not desert racing with this truck, so probably don't need to
Yet.
Yeah,
Thank you, right?
and we should speak to how you drive too. You might be better with a more higher end performance coilover. Considering
did tell
how you
him-
drive.
I did tell him that. I'm like, do I need the 2.5 with the remote reservoir? He's like, probably not. I'm like, well, they do tell me I need to slow down on the trails that I lead. So
I'm going
Maybe.
to go out. Could you just get like some regular Bilsteins? Because I think like we need you to slow down. So you upgrading to like a full Baja suspension, then you're going to be like, I'm not going fast. It's just not even bumpy, and our fillings will be
I can't
falling
even
out.
feel it.
Parts, well, yeah, it's super smooth. The road's not bad at all. I'm just doing 80.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I should just get some 100,000-mile used Nissan Titan stock coilovers.
Perfect. I mean, that would probably help slow you down a little bit. I mean, Coy lost a bolt following you. I mean, geez.
It's true.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm buying Titan swap parts. I should have been buying these months ago, as soon as I sold the LMTV, but I don't know. Just I hadn't been doing my research yet. So, but I'm excited. You been up to anything at all, Andy?
Yeah, been I just finished technically today rebuilding the front end on my 92 Mitsubishi Pajero little JDM turbo diesel. So I had a Taurus CV boot, and so kind of one of those things while you're down there. So I replaced the ball joints, tie rod ends, sway bar bushings, which looked like they were fossilized. And then pulled the CVs off, replaced both inner boots, did all that stuff, re-greased everything and so on and so forth. And then that little rig has a glow plug control unit. So the only computer, we'll call it a computer, it's basically a timer. The original one went out. They all go out. And so I had one arrive. They're hard to get. But I had one arrive from Lithuania of all sorts. So big shout out to Lithuania tonight. And I threw it in this afternoon. And sure enough, the glow plug control system works perfectly now. So it's going in for an alignment tomorrow. And knock on wood, I've got 3 functioning JDM Mitsubishi turbo diesels in my garage. So yeah, that's a nice feeling.
Coy wants to know where you are getting it aligned.
I am going to bring it to A&T Tire, also known as Trackside Racing up. I believe they're kind of by the airport in Portland. So I ran the Alcan 5000 with the owner Garth up there. I actually ended up talking to him out of the blue today. But so we're gonna give them a shot. It's not rocket surgery, as they say. So
Well,
just a front end alignment.
Your front end, is it got anything aftermarket going on?
Right now, just aftermarket shocks. It's got
not adjustment wise.
No, it's a torsion bar front suspension, independent, obviously front suspension, torsion bars. Torsion bars are cranked up about 1.5 inches to add a bit of lift. So, but otherwise, it's all stock. I suppose the biggest challenge is just going to get everything into spec with the torsion bars being cranked up, but I've had it aligned before, not a problem. But I've been covered in grease for weeks doing this, just as having to wait for parts and all that stuff. So
yeah.
Before
we get to what Coy's done here, Darwin said 700 pounds lighter with same towing capacity seems like stiff suspension when not towing. I haven't looked into it. That's a really good point, because if you're going to have that high of a towing capacity, but now your rig weighs less, you'd think it would ride pretty rough. So I'll have to look into.
He said towing capacity, not load. So I think Darwin is confusing load with towing capacity.
Well, but like if
Your tongue weight when you're towing is only going to be 500-600 pounds. It's not going to be very much. It's always going to be the weight you tow.
he does say towing capacity, but the bed capacity is higher in the F-150 with a lighter weight suspension. It increased the payload capacity is the term they use. So it has a higher payload. So in theory, it might have stiffer springs. So maybe it's got like a leaf pack that it doesn't come in contact with the heavier duty ones, or like helper springs at some point. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. That's a good point, Darwin.
Throw some what are they called? Some Timberins in there. That'll
Yeah. What have you been up to this week, Coy?
Before I get into that, because it's not going to take long, because I'm super boring this week. Andy, since you're a Mitsubishi guy, I just found out that there's such a thing as a Mitsubishi Jeep that, for all intents and purposes, is just a Jeep.
Yeah, it's a basically an old, I guess it's like an old CJ, and that's a 2.7 liter non-turbo diesel power engine. Every time I go to Jeep Safari for Warren, I gotta get one of those Mitsubishi Jeeps and just show up in this thing, But I'm running out of driveway space at this point, but I would love to get one and just turn it into a cool little wheeler. But yeah, they're cool. It's called a Mitsubishi Jeep. I'm pretty sure there was some licensing going on. They made them up until like 2014. I don't remember, some late time. It's like, wow. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was in the 90s for sure.
Yeah, I saw one for sale on Facebook or something, and I immediately thought of you, and I kind of researched it a little bit, and I'm like, he surely looked at these and thought about how many like Jeep jokes he could roll out to Easter Jeep or anywhere Warren sends him, and just be like, well, this is just like a Jeep but reliable, like you could just have so many jokes with that it would be worth almost just getting it for that.
So it's funny because maybe you guys know of Rick Payway, who's a very well-known Jeep enthusiast, especially the older stuff. And a couple years ago, actually I think it was last year at Jeep Safari, I said, "Hey Rick, you ever tore into one of those Mitsubishi Jeeps?" He says no. I said, I think they're pretty much the same as a CJ, just with a couple of different things. He says, "You should buy one and we'll tear it apart." I thought I should, but we'll see. One of these days. Add it to the list of must-haves.
Well, if you need to store a rig, I've got 43 acres out here. You can shove one off in the corner somewhere.
That's good to know. I'm going to make sure my wife knows about that too.
While you, tuck a Pajero over here while you're working on your Mitsubishi Jeep.
This little thing over here. Yeah.
Yeah. So for my week in review here, I've been working on this podcast room that I'm in here. It's nothing fancy, but a lot of man hours. And then I've been spending all my money trying to get my podcast gear set up and running so that we have a second studio, so I don't always have to drive to my co-host's house. So that's kind of been where I spend all my energy lately. But I have actually gone up to my local, every area has its own local spot where all the locals go, and everybody burns pallets and gets drunk and ruins it till the gates get put up. So I went there hoping to find some snow. It's called Snow Peak. It's 20 miles from my house or so. And they've done some logging and stuff and opened up a bunch of roads that have been closed since I was a kid. And I had no idea. So I got to drive around, kind of explore a few roads that I had never been on before. I just saw the tank trap and kept driving by. And there was no snow. It rained super hard. I mean, there was a little snow in the ditch and whatnot. So I just kind of drove around with the family and checked out some old/new area and came home. That's the only wheeling I've done for the last couple of weeks.
Had some chili dogs.
I did. I ate some delicious chili dogs. When you're up in the cold weather and someone starts talking about chili dogs, then everyone starts talking about chili dogs. And then it's on everyone's brain and you're almost just like hammering it down the mountain. Like, we're going to go get chili dogs right now. Chili dogs. That's what we're going to do. That was a great idea. I really like chili. It's been so long since I had chili dog. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. It was a race to get chili dogs.
I'm going to totally try that next time I go out on the trail. Be like, somebody wants chili dogs? I really want a chili dog.
It has to be cold. If it's hot, nobody wants a chili dog. But if it's cold and, you've already wheeled for a couple hours, somebody's getting a little tired, throw chili dogs out. People start losing their mind.
I mean, that's one that's not hard to cook on the trail either. I mean, throw a can of chili on the manifold. And,
Mhm.
That's part of it, because you're like, man, why don't we bring hot dogs and chili? We could be eating this right now. You can just keep going with it.
Oh, something I actually forgot to mention is I got my new computer going too. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's nice. I can actually run everything again and have multiple windows open, and I haven't gone all roboto. So
Jeremy noticed.
yeah, he noticed. That's good.
Yeah, he said potato camera.
Potato camera? I've got a potato
Yeah.
camera.
I think he's commenting that there's an absence of potato camera.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So
You
that's
are no longer potato.
Yep. Yeah, that's what happens when you buy a new camera too.
Hey guys, we're looking to reach more listeners. We're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an off-road podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button. The news is brought to you by Power Tank.
We're not ready for Power Tank yet.
Nope.
Jumping ahead. We're going to talk about Patriot Patch. I just got my Patch of the Month patch here. What Now 2021. So it's got Murder Hornets, COVID, Molotovs, and who knows what's coming next. Looks like it might land on a nuke. Not sure what's going on there. So that one just came today. And I shared this one last week, but it's worth another share again. Here we go. Drive Hard, Don't Die. It's a great patch. This is a brand new one that they just released. You don't have to be in the Patch of the Month Club to get this one. You can just get it straight through their website. So that might be a Mitsubishi Jeep. I'm not sure.
It looks like a JK to me, but what do I know?
All right.
It clearly has 18-inch wheels. It's not a Mitsubishi.
That's true. Yeah. Way too big for a Mitsubishi. Yeah. So we love Patriot Patch. They are one of the sponsors that help make this podcast possible.
Speaking of which,
The news is brought to you by Power Tank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
so it's since we're such in the Jeep tonight, it's kind of double Jeep stories tonight. Jeep is building a custom shop in Ohio. This was Toledo.
Toledo.
Thank you.
Uh,
You kind of jumped the gun there, Andy. I wanted him to struggle a little more.
I'm sorry.
So
Tomato.
Actually,
Tomato.
I didn't have the notes pulled up, and I thought, is he trying to say Toledo? And I was like, no, there's no way. It must be a different place.
Trying to read. Oh boy. So
Dyslexia is so fun to make fun of.
It is. So the city put $23 million into the site, and then they chose to sell the site to Jeep for, any guesses?
$1, Bob.
Yep.
You are correct. $1. So they sold it to Jeep for $1 to encourage to keep operations local. I mean, you think about all the jobs that they have there. That's a lot of jobs, and that's only going to add more jobs, right? They don't know exactly who's going to be there working. There's no exact plans what is going on. The new unit supplier hasn't been revealed, but there's speculation that it's going to be Mopar. So yeah.
So I think that Jeep is putting that 23 million into the site, not the city of to whatever that place is.
Torpedo.
That's it. Torpedo. Yeah, I think that Toledo sold it to him at a cheap price. Jeep has to tear down these buildings that were already there. I think it said what the buildings were. One was like an upholstery factory.
Yeah, an old textiles factory, and then an ambulance manufacturer.
That's right. Yep. Like a body manufacturer for ambulance. So they got to either tear down or renovate those buildings so that they can do their in-house stuff. And the speculation is it's going to be a Jeep custom shop because that's where they make Wrangler, and that's where they also produce the Gladiator.
So at the bottom of the story, it does say that the officials spent $3.7 million in buying and cleaning up the former Textiles and MegCorp sites.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it sounds like they did some work to it prior to Jeep buying it as well. So, and there's some sort of contract that if Jeep decides to back out and doesn't do anything with it, they can have it back for $1. So,
And
yeah,
that's a good thing to put in the contract, because imagine if they built like a bunch of cool stuff, decided to not to use it, and then they sold it to somebody else for $50 million.
yeah, millions.
I think it would be like sweet irony if they built like a new Jeep Compass / Liberty testing facility there.
What, like a parking lot?
Well, yeah. It would be like a mall, a fake mall.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Great, you just lost both your Compass viewers.
Yeah, both of them.
It's Compass mating season right now, so they're not watching.
So our next story here is about the Jeep 392. So apparently somebody on a Jeep forum has ordered one of these Jeeps with the Hemi in it, and when it optioned out to the specs that he wanted, it came to $77,000, which is crazy. And the same options and everything for the minivan motor, the 3.6, comes out to $47,000. So if my math is correct, that's about $30,000 more for the Hemi motor. That's a lot of money.
I bet they sell everyone they build.
100%. And I bet you there's people that want to buy them that can't because they've sold all out of all of them. So I think Coy just left to go buy one right now. He just walked out of the room.
I think a Jeep Compass just showed up.
Bunch of them showed up to beat him up with sextants, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, 77 grand. What you get for that is everything you get with all the other ones, but a different engine. So you get the 470 horsepower, 6.4 liter Hemi motor, and it's got, all they say is got more than 400 foot-pounds of torque. They don't say how much torques it really has. One thing though that brought it back into perspective that I liked is that they said that it's got the same engine as the SRT Grand Cherokee. And that costs $71,000. So it's tit for tat, and those are selling. It's not really unrealistic, the price range there. So yeah. Yeah. So listener feedback. I was talking to Coy over the weekend, and Coy was mentioning that he was on our podcast a while back, and someone sent him some listener feedback about him being on the podcast. You got that pulled up at all, Coy?
I have it ready here. So it's actually a guy I used to race with back in the day. Used to do a lot of autocross, and he was a competing team on this event called the SmackDown, which is like a team autocross drag drift event. And we've been Facebook friends, since then. And he just out of the blue messaged me and said, "Hey, Coy, I heard you on the off-road podcast the other day. Sounds like you do a lot of snow wheeling. I do quite a bit as well. I am usually playing on St. Helens and Adams, but I'm wanting to take a trip down towards Bend. I have a truck and a camper and would be trailering my Jeep down, hoping to make it down sometime in February. The reason I'm reaching out is I don't have any idea where to go, what roads are closed to snowmobiling only, and how good the snow is. Any insider info would be awesome. Be cool if you could join us as well. Our rig's pretty capable. We go pretty much every weekend up here and have for the last 8 or 9 years when there's snow." And then I proceeded to have a pretty long conversation. Just,
you don't have to read
catching up and talking about off-roading and stuff. But it's kind of cool that, I already left as we got into my fans account. So didn't want to talk too much about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool that he recognized you and reached out to you. That's really neat. So are you guys going to go wheeling then in Central Oregon?
Probably will not, because he's on 38s and I'm on 35s, and I hate to be that guy that's holding the group down. You know, if there's one guy on 37s and a guy on 33s, then I'm good. But if I'm going with all guys bigger tires than me, I'm just like, no, I don't want to be this guy.
Well,
I hate slowing the group down also.
you hate groups in general.
Yeah.
Well, we'd have you read the ad read there for our intro here, Andy, but I can't find the text for it. So.
I saw that.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, Andy, I'd say it's been a while since you've been on, but it's only been a couple months.
Yeah, it hasn't been too long.
It's been a while though since he's been on to talk Warren. He's
That
usually
is
talking
true.
about all of his escapades around the globe and all of his JDMs.
Yeah,
International man of mystery.
Alcan, Rebel Rally, and Moab.
Yeah,
Writing articles for various magazines and websites.
Because we had what was it? I want to say our original episode was 3 years ago, something like that.
Probably.
Sounds
yeah.
about right.
No, it was more than 3 years ago because it was just it was before we were sponsored by you guys.
Oh, was it? Yeah, because I remember you guys actually came to the factory.
Yeah.
And we did a podcast actually at headquarters.
Yeah.
That was at least 2 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah. It's been a long time since, and I figured we've got more than enough new listeners and enough old listeners. Why it wouldn't hurt to go through some of the stuff again.
Sure.
But also, I mean, with doing live shows, it also opens it up if anyone's got a question.
Yeah.
This is the best time to ask it, because like me, you might have a question, and it could be something someone else might have too. Especially if it's a listener that's listening, not live.
Yeah, so some of these questions are going to be ones that we asked before. And then there's definitely some new ones in here because you guys got some new products that have come out.
We do, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
So, but we're going to start this off with you. And what's your favorite trip that you've been on recently?
Oh, recently, there's been fewer recently, but the last one was actually last weekend. Went up to outside of Carson, Washington, up into the hills up there, just with a bunch of other 4-wheel drive van owners. So it wasn't really much of a challenge or anything. More of a kind of like, hey, we're getting together and just gonna have a bonfire and all that stuff. But we did go out to the Oregon dunes about a month ago. Before that, in our 4-wheel drive van as well. And it was its maiden off-road voyage, and it did fantastically. I just got the winch on there along with bumpers and all the recovery bits. So that's kind of been it. This summer we went out to Southeast Oregon, however, and actually I guess it was September. We went to Southeast Oregon around the Oahe area, also Silver City, Idaho. And went out to some amazing spots. There's some real middle of nowhere places that you really have to want to go there to get there. I mean, it takes hours and miles and miles and miles of gravel roads just to get to the thing you want to see. So, and that was fantastic. We did some great trails and saw some amazing things. This was right before the fires broke out in Oregon. This summer that were so bad, so destructive, but it was an amazing trip.
When you went to the Oahes, did you go to the Three Forks hot springs?
We did go to Three Forks. It was sort of to be honest, it was one of these things where we were making a loop, and I saw the sign for Three Forks. And I thought, God, I've always wanted to go there. We should go check it out. But I don't remember how many miles off the top of my head, but it's a lot of off-road miles to get there. And it was screaming
27 sound about right?
It does, yeah. Of course, round trip, we're looking, almost 60 miles. And it was just beastly hot. It was like 100 degrees. And we got down by the river. There was plenty of other people who decided they were going to go check out the river. So we just kind of looked around a bit and went back up the hill. We went to just a couple of other spots, down in some canyons that were off of trails and out near Jordan Crater and whatnot. And, it was just a nice trip, but that whole area out there is awesome.
Coy, do you have the show notes pulled up by chance? So we'll have you ask Andy some of these questions too. I'll cover this one for you though. Do you have any big trips planned for 2021?
It's hard to plan anything at this point still. So I don't have anything on the books yet. There's all kinds of things we want to do. I'd love to go back down to Death Valley again, check that out. I've been there a couple of times, but it's so huge. It's like the entire park's like the size of Rhode Island, right? So it's Rhode Island's a small state, but a big national park. So, but just try to get out as much as we can. Right now there's places we want to see and all sorts of stuff we want to do. Honestly, I just like to get some more trail time in 2021, even if it's just local stuff. I haven't hit our local trails up in a while. It's always somewhere else. So it'd be good to go revisit some of the places in like Tillamook State Forest and just go run some of those trails, especially now that I finally got this my 92 Mitsubishi Pajero sorted. So new engine, all new front end, just a bunch of stuff, but should be ready for the trails now.
Nice.
Well, should we just jump right into all the Warren questions now?
Yeah. So I put the first letter of your name in front of the question that you get to ask.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I'm glad we talked about this before I started the show.
Yeah, absolutely. We just were so used to running it that forgot to throw that out there. So
it makes perfect sense now that you say it that way, but when it's labeled ABC, I didn't realize that was Aaron Ben Coy. I just thought that was like question A, B, and C.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah, it seemed weird. I was like, hey.
Except it's BCA. Yeah, we're dyslexic or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, we got it sorted now.
Yeah, we got it figured out. So let's talk about Warren now. I know we asked this last time, but I enjoy asking this question. Is it pronounced Warren, like warning, if you're getting a warning, or is it pronounced Warren, like Warren G?
Okay, it's definitely not like Warren G. So it is, however, like Warren, like I'm going to warn you about something. WARN. It is not Warren. I think you're just trying to give me an aneurysm. But anyway.
I hear Warren all the time. I just got my Warren Winch. Like,
I know.
Not Warren.
Yeah. It's it's Warren, WARN, one syllable. And our products are winches with an I, not an E. That a winch is something completely different, and we have nothing to do with them. So we are Warren Winch. That is what we make, amongst a whole bunch of other products, by the way. So.
Ben must be muted. You muted, Ben?
Oh man, I totally. Oh man,
you had a good joke.
I did have a good joke. I did. I said I thought.
Thanks for making me look good.
I thought. I was gonna say I thought those type of winches were legal in Oregon now, or with drugs. But oh well. So everyone knows Warren makes winches. What else do you guys make?
We make bumpers. We make body armor. We sell plow systems for ATVs and UTVs. We have utility products. We have a whole host of rigging accessories, from shackles to hooks to replacement ropes. We have wireless controllers. We have bags. We have all kinds of stuff. It's not everybody knows us for and hubs, of course. Everybody knows us for winches. Some people know us for winches and hubs, but we make a whole lot of things. Every now and then somebody says, gosh, when did you guys start making bumpers? Oh, 1975. So I think it was right around then. So right about 40 years ago. But so we make a whole host of things. We're headquartered in Clackamas, Oregon. We have 200,000 square feet of manufacturing there. And we make a lot of things. We have a lot of raw steel comes in and finished goods come out. So
yeah, it was really cool when we got to do our tour, actually seeing bumpers being manufactured there, all the jigs up, and people Americans actually sitting there making it, not just some kid assembling it in a factory overseas
next door to the Nike shop. I had a really good time on that tour too. My two things that stood out the most were your the giant reamer thing.
Oh yeah, Broachzilla.
The brooch.
Yeah, the brooch. Yep.
And then that other thing that was like doing neurotic tap dancing over in the corner that was not to any.
That was me. That was me.
Sorry, what was the first thing you were talking about?
It's so. Let's see if I can describe it. It's
yeah. That what was that thing again?
It's like a.
No,
it's like a
what were you? What?
Oh, yes. No, I'm not milking a
What
cow.
did it do?
I'm not milking a cow. So this brooch is like a tap, but rather than threading into something, it's just forced. It's just forced through the metal to chip it out to size.
Right. It's forced through. So
yeah,
that's how we spline a lot of our big gears, like our ring gears for our large frame winches and whatnot. It's pretty impressive. The floor actually shakes when it goes down. It's got a lot of power. It's the largest pole brooch west of the Mississippi River. Did
that one come off of the battleship, or was that other equipment?
No, what you're referring to are what we call Wickmans, and Wickmans they were used on battleships in World War II. Ours are generally from the 1970s, but have been retrofitted with computers and whatnot. But basically, if you saw a photo of one, it looks like a 6-barrel Gatling gun, and you load it with steel rod, and it basically cuts the rod and then shapes it. Well, it cuts it and then we're basically making metal donuts. And then for gears, and then the gears are splined either on a brooch or a shaper. But yeah, those Wickmans, especially when they're all lined up, it looks like you've walked into some giant gun factory.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Is that Broachzilla? I think so.
Believe it is. Yep, that is. I see the sign.
Yeah. Nice. Well, who are some of the people and groups that Warren is supporting and helping race and sponsoring and stuff like that, besides the Off-Road Podcast?
Yeah, we work with a number of people. Certainly, we participate with Ultra 4 Racing. We also, of course, best known for King of the Hammers, but they do all kinds of stuff. I got my KOH shirt on from 2018 here, and then. We participate in a lot of events. I think we do something like, including the trade-only events, something like we generally do about 150 a year. But this year, obviously, or I should say, thankfully, last year was different. So, but we do everything from the SEMA show, which is a big trade-only show, to things like the Northwest Overland rallies and some of the more local events as well. We also sponsor some racers. Again, mostly King of the Hammers, rock crawling, that kind of stuff. But there's a few others like Grabowski Brothers that do desert racing and that kind of stuff. So we really we keep it automotive centric, generally four wheels. But we do other things here every now and then as well.
So what do you think Warren's most innovative product or feature is on the products?
Well, I would say right now, if we're talking right now, we have a new product called Hub. and it's the Hub wireless receiver and app. And what this is it's an app for your smartphone, and you download it for free either through the Google Play Store or through the Apple App Store, and you install it on your phone. And when you buy one of these, it's a dongle about this. There it is right there. So the receiver itself, it's about $99, and it's about the size of a wow. It's like this was almost scripted. And so it plugs in on a truck winch. It plugs into the receiver, the socket end, and then you have the actual receiver, which has the little red dot there, and there's a blue LED on that. And your phone then connects to that via Bluetooth. So then you're able to operate your winch using the Bluetooth connection on your smart device. So we make 4 versions. We make one for Warn. They work with any winch that has a contactor. So that's modern Warn truck winches. We have a version for Smittybilt XRC and X2O Gen 2 winches. Then we have a version for our Power Sports winches. And then we have one for our Axon Power Sports winches. And our Axon winch, actually, speaking of innovation, is probably our most innovative winch that we currently sell. Not only does it have the ability to tell you the battery, actually all of the hubs will tell you the battery life on your vehicle. But if you have an Axon Power Sports winch, it'll also give you information on load capacity as well as motor temperature because of some of the sensors that are on board. So, but that hub it gives you up to, at a minimum of 100 foot of range. So when you're using a corded remote, you have 12 feet. That's a 12-foot lead, right? If you're using our standard wireless control system, you got 50 feet, but Hub actually gives you 100 feet. So plus which, if you have your smartphone, which we always have, you have a remote, right? So whether you want to use that as your primary remote, or you lose your remote, or you run it over, or it ends up at the bottom of a stream. If you've got your phone and you've got this remote receiver, you've got a winch control. So that's our latest one.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be on the group of testers. Aaron was. Rick mentioned here in the comments that he enjoyed being a tester for the hub. I love it. I used it when I got stuck up at Greenwater. I used it a lot that day. My boss was talking to his wife. He's like, "Why is he on his damn phone? We're trying to recover here." Well, yeah, I'm using my phone here. He didn't quite understand what I was doing at the time, but
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
One of the things about it too is there somehow, I know this never happens, right? But on the internet, there was a rumor that there was really, really bad lag with the hub, and it's absolutely like instantaneous.
It's the complete opposite.
Yes.
So I have the wireless controller. I've got the hub, and I've got the wired controller. And I will I swear that the hub responds just as well as the controller does. Versus the wireless controller, there's a little bit, I want to say a second leg where you push the button, zip, it's still going for a second. Versus the hub, it's instantaneously starting and stopping. So.
Right. Yeah, I would go as far as to say it's probably one of the least amount of latency on any remote out there. So,
I'm seeing an opportunity for a new Warn product, phone cases. That way, with Ben's out there, red and black case that said Warn on it, I think they had the world's fanciest controller. Be like, wow, that controller has an 8.5-inch screen. Yeah,
I like it.
That's not a bad idea. Though I'm sure there'd be a limit on what type of phones were covered for that one.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just gonna write this down.
Yeah. Put Koi. You got that from me though. It's later on. I'm gonna call.
We'll call them the Koi. We'll just call them Koi. We'll find it to stand for something.
Oh yeah, making an acronym.
Yeah.
So a couple of people in chat are asking this question. So you're big into cars, about European deliveries and stuff like that. They want to know if they can pick up the winch at the plant and get a tour at the same time.
So with COVID and whatnot, we're not offering will call. But but we generally don't anyway, unless you're a distributor or something like that, because we do sell direct through our website, but that's oftentimes coming from our warehouse, which is going to be a different location. So, and as far as plant tours, again, with COVID, we're not doing any plant tours right now. When we typically only offer plant tours for media outlets, which is like why you guys were able to get a tour. So
Yeah. We're special. Sorry, guys. We are special. At least we think we are.
I will say that I am planning on doing a virtual factory tour with the Pacific Northwest Four-Wheel Drive Association here in March. So,
Nice.
and we do have a couple of really good videos up on our YouTube channel that show the inner workings of our company and whatnot. But I know it's different when you get to actually be there. But
Yeah, everything's virtual now, so it's all good though, right?
it's true.
What would you say is like your favorite, either vintage or like a discontinued product or something like that? Do you have
Ooh.
any favorites?
That's a great question. Man.
I love the Warren power plant that had the air compressor built into it. It didn't seem like it took off like I would have thought, but I thought that was a really cool innovation.
Yeah, power plant was one of those things where we went, how has nobody thought about this before? And power plant was a really strong seller for a number of years, and for whatever reason, the sales just kind of tapered off towards the end there, with the exception of Jeep Safari. Like every time we go to Jeep Safari, the product was 10 years old at the 2017 Jeep Safari, and people would come up to me and be like, "Do you have that new compressor winch here?" I'm like, "Well, it was new a decade ago, but yes, we do." So. But I think some people were concerned about the size of it, and restricting airflow. But we never really had any. We did tons of testing on it, but it was a very cool product. Boy, that's a really, really good question. I think power plant was really cool. Personally, I guess if I had to choose one, this is going to sound a little nuanced, I suppose, but I really liked, I had an M6000 winch, which was a 6,000 pound winch. I had it on the front of my 89 Mitsubishi Delica van, and it was a very compact size, and it was quick, and it was just a good little winch. I just thought that's great. But, with rigs getting heavier, now an 8,000 pound winch is pretty light duty. 10,000 is generally the standard, it seems like these days. You have JKs and 4Runners and Tacomas, right in that 10,000 pound sweet spot. So, but yeah, we've made some pretty interesting. We even made like a chainsaw winch back in the day, like a log skidder way back in the 60s. We made before the 8274, which is probably our best known upright winch, which probably a lot of people are familiar with. We made one called the 8074. So for anybody wondering, 8274, M8274, actually, speaking of acronyms, is an acronym. M stands for model, 8 stands for 8,000 pound, 2 stands for two-way, so it's got free spool and power in, power out. 74 is the year it was initially introduced. But the 8074 was not two-way, so you had to power in and power out. There's no free spool. And because of that, we can actually rate that winch for hoisting duty as well. So you could actually use that to lift stuff up because it had the safety factor of not having a clutch and some other things. So that was a kind of a neat thing. It's not great for free spooling, but it's great for lifting stuff.
Yeah, you got to go at 100 feet powering.
Oh yeah, look at that! Jeez, look at that! Holy smokes! You guys have like all the props set up tonight. That's amazing.
It just happened to be sitting behind the screen here, so I was like, "I'll go grab that."
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, your shirt or a winch?
The winch.
The winch. Sure, it's cool.
Were you wearing that shirt earlier, or did you just put that on?
No, I was wearing it earlier.
Oh, I guess I wasn't paying attention to your wardrobe. Sorry,
cold, dude.
Sorry, I forgot that I was supposed to wear my Warren gear today.
Fired. So let's talk about the new wheels. How are those going?
Yeah, they're going well. They're doing quite well. They are a new thing. Warren got into the wheel biz. We have 3 unique designs. Those are completely unique to us. All 3 of those wheels come in 2 different finishes. So they come in a black finish or a gunmetal style. The center cap is reminiscent of a worn hub, so it's a gold center cap with two detents that sort of look like an actual worn premium hub. And then we have an option, if you don't want the gold, we have black center caps that have a bit of a red finish on them as well. So they're going to be Jeep centric kind of right now. So you're looking at a 17 by 8.5 with a 0 offset. And it is a cast wheel. And yeah, they've been selling really well. Been real happy with them. So it's a JK, JL, Gladiator fitment.
Are you guys going to expand that and go to the Toyota market?
That is always the follow-up question with the wheels. Is there going to be a 6x139.7 Toyota fitment? Anything is possible. We're kind of looking to see how the Jeep wheels sell first and see if we get more people constantly asking us that question or not. So, but and thank you, Rick. Yes, we'll be sure to contact you if you need somebody to test the wheels. So, but yeah, so those are exciting. Those are also a new product. Actually, today I just sent in a press release because we have a whole bunch of new bumper applications, including some for we have a new line of Ascent HD bumpers. So, Aaron, I'm sorry, do you have a question?
Coy does.
Oh, Coy, do you have a question?
Before I jump into that question, I have one question about the wheels first. Have you had anybody order the hubs for all four and run hubs on the rear as well? Because when these first came out, I thought it would be awesome to just put the hubs on the rear, you know, the false hubs or whatever on your new wheels, and just to mess with people.
You know, I think they all have the center cap, so it would look like you had hubs on all four corners. So, yeah,
I just think that would be awesome to do because there's got to be an old timer to be standing in your Jeep looking at it, hubs on the rear, you know. Yeah, it would be a good head scratcher.
Indeed, yes.
So, getting back to your bumpers, you've been releasing a ton of bumpers lately for all kinds of models.
Mm-hmm.
We're wondering, what would you say sets yours apart? Because it's kind of a flooded market already, but clearly you're doing really well. Mm-hmm. And are you making any bumpers for vehicles that no one else is, something special? Mm-hmm. Like, do you have a Bronco bumper out already that you could tell us about?
Sure. So what makes our bumpers different? So we put a ton of research and design into our bumpers. So they're made in the United States. They're all just, there's a ton of testing, and you know, every one of those is pull tested to make sure that there's no deflection or anything like that. So, and yeah, again, man, raw steel comes in, finished bumpers come out. We have one of the best powder coating systems in the US, if not the world. It's a 5-step pre-treatment process with a zirconium nanotechnology that is actually a thing. Despite it sounding like an imitation diamond, it is not. But anyway, so that helps with corrosion resistance, stands up to salt spray tests, and so on and so forth. So as far as applications that we make that nobody else makes, I would say right now we have a number of Subaru bumpers for that crowd. We have bumpers for Crosstrek, Outback, and Forester, and so those are something that aren't being mass produced by a lot of other companies. There's a couple other smaller outfits that are doing Subaru style bumpers, but that's kind of something we kind of have a foothold in there. But we have more applications coming out for other vehicles that I cannot legally talk about, or at least I could talk about, but I'd lose my job. So so we're not going to do that. But you know, as you've probably seen it with regards to the Bronco, there's been a number of photos out there that show the worn winch on a Bronco. So, and we have worked with Ford on some mounting stuff, but I'll leave it at that.
I'm excited about the bumpers you're putting out. So this question came from our listener base. They want to know if Warren, not Andy, but if Warren has done any testing with the snatch rings that have become pretty popular lately, and is there any increased friction with using those that might damage a synthetic product that they're intended to be used with?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the product. Fact 55, which is now owned by Warren Industries. Fact 55 sells them, as do some other products. We haven't, that I'm aware of, we haven't tested any of them in-house because we don't sell them. It's not something, we generally don't test other people's rigging equipment because we're not selling other people's rigging equipment. So I can't, I've heard, I'm not going to go into what Andy has heard. So, but I know that that I'm from, as far as I'm aware, we haven't tested them because we don't sell them. I'm sure Fact 55 has done a ton of testing on them.
Well, sounds like we need to have them on the show next.
Maybe you should.
If they return the email. Any exciting products in the pipeline?
So I briefly touched on this. Was we just today announced our Warren Ascent HD bumpers, which are another low profile front bumper, winch bumper, but it's going to accept either our mid frame winches, so our winches like our Xeon Platinum VR Evo up to 12,000 pounds, but also our large frame winches, our M12, M15, 16.5 Ti winches. So you can finally get like a Super Duty or a Silverado HD that has a winch that is big, 16,500 pounds capacity. So those are brand new. We also came out with a line of bumpers called Ascent XP. And those are actually going to be a front bumper for people who want the durability of a front bumper, but really don't need a winch. They just want the added protection and style of an off-road bumper. So, it has an opening for a light bar up to 30 inches as well. So, and all of these are made in the USA. So those are brand new. As far as other future products coming out, there's nothing I can really tell you right now, other than we're constantly working on a whole host of new innovative products. And, I'm always looking forward to the latest thing. I will say that, as evidenced by today's press release, we definitely are expanding our bumper options, and will be continuing to do so in the not too distant future.
How are the Subaru bumpers doing? I remember you guys releasing those just recently, right?
Yeah, they came out a little over a year ago. So, but they're good. They're moving. We have a lot of interest in them. It's quite a different market because a lot of the people that own a new Forester or a 2020 Forester or Outback, something like that, aren't necessarily used to using a winch or installing a winch bumper. It's a unibody vehicle, for instance. That's also different, but it's a totally different crowd. But there's a few of them out there that have caught my eye on Instagram, and they're doing some really cool things with them. So I think you'll continue to see that offering expand, and as that segment continues to gain popularity.
Yeah, I've lifted two now through work, and they were actually talking about getting the Warren bumpers, and I was like, yeah, go for it, do it.
Yeah, there's again, like everything we make, they're all extensively tested. They're all a ton of research and development goes into the design of these products. So it gives you a way to mount a winch and have genuine recovery points right up on the front of there. So if you are into running trails or snow wheeling, or where you want to go somewhere, you can get pulled out without having to worry about it.
If you're taking votes on new products after my phone case idea, I want you guys to start making Warren air compressors again. Those were really beastie air compressors that you guys used to make. They're incredibly fast. I'd love to see you guys make some more of those.
Every now and then we run into people that still have them. For those of you guys that aren't aware, Warren was in the air compressor business for a few years, where we made 3 different ones. One was a little tiny small one. Then there was one called the SPI, which stood for single piston intercooled. It was a single piston. And we had one called the VTC, which was vertical twin compressor, and it looked like a little Harley V twin, and it was really, really fast.
Rick wants to know,
much faster than ARB twin, like fastest tested of everything.
It was quick, yeah. Ours The
Yeah.
VTC was a big product, unfortunately. So we did have some people like with Wranglers that didn't. Yeah, this just wasn't a great place to put them. So
Rick wants to know if you're only making front bumpers for the Subaru crowd.
yeah, we are right now. We have front bumpers for. Boy, I'm going to try to remember the model range off the top of my head. It's for a second generation Crosstrek, 2020 plus Outback, and 2018 plus Forester, I believe it is. So that's what we're offering as far as January 4th, 2021.
Do you make rear bumpers for those? I think that's what he was leaning
Yeah.
towards.
Yep.
No. Okay. So my next question would be, what is the best way to wrap your wire or synthetic rope on your drum?
The best way to do it, carefully, I guess, is the right answer. So the real answer though is to do it under tension. So and you do that to keep everything lined up nicely. So the whole idea is, when you see somebody's winch that looks like it's tick, 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 stacked up next to each other, right? That's the way you want to do it. When you see these things that are all birds nested together, that's what you don't want. And there's a number of reasons for that. But so when you, especially before you make a pull with a winch rope, what you're supposed to do is what we call tension the rope. So you pull out the line and then you hook it onto an anchor of some sort. And you basically need about 1,000 pounds of force. And so you can either like hook it to another car or a tree or whatnot, and then a couple of clicks up on the e-brake, and then you'll start bringing the line in. And you'll want to keep that rope nice and spooled up evenly next to each other on that drum. And as it goes up to the next layer, make sure you just keep going up and keeping it nice and tight and spooled next to each other. And that's for wire or synthetic rope. What you want to avoid is getting it crossed up on each other. And then when you go to pull, for instance, it'll crush the rope beneath it. And on synthetic rope, a lot of times it'll flatten that rope out, and that's generally okay. But you don't want to slice it. On wire rope, it can kink it, and that can end up to lead to a compromised line. So you don't want that. So.
I feel like this has been quite a while back, but we shared an article about Warren owning Factor 55, and we alluded to this earlier, and you mentioned it as well. Has that changed what you do at all? Are you doing anything with Factor 55? Or are they still a separate company from Warren, just under the same umbrella?
Yeah, they are operating independently. We do have communications with them, and they're involved in marketing strategies and sales strategies and talks like that. But they're still out in Idaho doing their thing, and we're still in Oregon doing our thing. We've just upped the communication a lot. So I suspect we'll probably see more joint marketing efforts and team plays like that in the very near future. But yeah, I was super happy to hear about that, because it's a company that is just they make high quality stuff. American company, American made stuff. It is highly tested, well engineered, and it made such good sense. So super happy they're here.
Jeremy wrote real quick in the comments, how much should we be concerned with it not lining up properly in the field? So maybe you're off camber and you're winching yourself up a hill or something, and the line is coming in at an angle and it's kind of stacking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. So we always recommend trying to do the straightest pull you possibly can, right? So the line spools evenly as it usually would. If you're doing a pull at an angle and you've got that rope way over to one side, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, right? But you really want to try to keep it as even as possible, right? If you get too much rope stacked up on one side, you can actually damage the winch. I've seen a number of either broken tie rods or worse, a broken drum support, because all that rope gets stacked up and stacked up and stacked up, and it pops the top on the winch. So luckily, all of our products are serviceable. We have replacement parts for every part of the winch, winch that we make. So if you are to break a tie rod, break a tie plate, break an end housing, you don't throw it in the trash. It's totally repairable.
And the way to correct that, obviously you can't rotate your vehicle so you get a straight line. So you get that snatch block involved, connected to something else if there's something available. That way you can get a nice straight pull out of your rope.
Yeah, that's
connected to something else.
Exactly. Yeah, using your snatch block, using your rigging equipment to try to keep things in a straight line is a great idea. So whether you're using a snatch block for direction change or double line pull or whatnot. So.
Yep. Team Broverland here in the comments says American made or American assembled.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it depends on the product. So for instance, all of those Warren Ascent bumpers, those are American made in America, no caveats. Steel comes in, they're fabbed up, and they're powder coated, and they're sent out for packaging and whatnot. Our winches are made just like everybody's vehicle. Our winches are made with parts from all around the world, including the United States. So we're cutting our own gears for almost all of our winches. The exception to this, by the way, Team Broverland, is our Warren VR Evo lineup. That lineup is made in China. It is still extensively tested. It also still features the same lifetime warranty, mechanical and 7-year electrical warranty as all of our other winches, but only the VR Evo. And by the way, I spend a ridiculous amount of time on the Facebook groups and forum sites repeating this, but it's only the VR Evo that is made overseas completely. All of our other winches, every single one of them, is leaving the factory in Clackamas. And again, there are some parts as suppliers, motor suppliers move overseas. There isn't an electric motor company that is producing winch motors that we can purchase for our products. And so, but we are employing more American workers than any other winch company. I would assure you of that.
Nice.
I often, when I see those pop up on random Facebook groups, they're all assembled in the same factory, but I'm just like scrolling through the comments and I'm waiting, like, and here's Andy. Okay. And
that's my job, unfortunately, sometimes. So, but I'm a part of a lot of these groups. So, and I never push, I'm not in these groups as Warren Industries. I'm in there as me. But if something comes up that's just completely false, and boy, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of rumors generated in a lot of these Facebook groups and forum sites. I think I've seen all of them, and people go, well, they're all made in China anyway. No, actually, they're not all made in China anyway. So, but we have, again, it's just like your 4-wheel drive. Not every single part of your Jeep was made in Toledo, Ohio. There are parts that are made. I know. Sorry, Aaron. So, but or anything else. So we've got parts from all over the world. And the VRs, by the way, the VRs are great winches, regardless, because we wouldn't put our name on them if they didn't pass our testing and quality.
It survived my head.
I can say I have personal experience. I had a Warren that I bought used that was very old, very, very old. And I used and abused it, and eventually something gearboxy went out, and I'm sure it was rebuildable, but I paid like $100 for the thing, and I wanted to get a new winch. And I wrote on Facebook, I ended up picking a competitor, just not because I didn't like Warren, because I just thought it was kind of a neat one and wanted to try it. Mm-hmm. Was sorely burned and wildly disappointed, and was a horrible experience in every way imaginable. And then I bought a Warren. So. And Andy was there the whole time, just like, let me know.
I remember this.
And then I came back and was like, I'm up creek. What do I do? And then people were like, oh yeah, no, you're up a creek. And then eventually I was like, okay, Andy, I need to buy a Warren now. What do I do?
It's funny you mentioned that, Coy, because not only do I remember watching the entire saga unfold, but like when it came down to terminal gravity, and you sort of realized this other company is not going to be supporting me at all. You wrote, you typed on Facebook, I didn't go prepared. And I thought, I remember it was like it was yesterday. So
I don't even remember that, honestly, but that's.
But it sounds like something Coy would say. I believe it.
It sounds like it would come out of my mouth. I'm quick to say when I've made a mistake. I had one more question for you, Andy. I got some winch training from an employee with Warren once, and he talked a little bit about winching competitions that he had done, and I don't know if they're for Warren or whatever, but they're mostly overseas, I think, Australia or someplace. Have you competed in any of those? Because you've competed in and done almost everything cool imaginable, and I'm a little bit jealous of you as a human being. And if you've done this last thing, I'm going to just quickly end my life while I'm in the valley.
All right. Well,
can you shut your video off first if you do that?
It's okay. He doesn't need to. That is something I have not done. So we're good. All the viewers are okay. Oh, boy, that was a tense moment for a moment, though.
It was.
So no, I haven't done any winching competitions, but yeah, they're definitely something that are more popular overseas. You see them in Europe, you see them in Southeast Asia a lot, Australia, and I was actually at a friend's house in New Zealand a few years ago, and we were watching some Rainforest Challenge videos. And I mean, there's like a rig that has flipped over on its roof, and they've got some crazy fast winch, and they literally winch themselves up just this unbelievable embankment on their roof. And it's just like there's somebody running behind it too. It's like, oh my God. So, but yeah, there's all sorts of super high powered winches. People will modify our 8274s with 2 motors. Our new 8274 actually comes with one of the more popular modifications, which was taking the 6 horsepower motor from the 9.5 XP and bolting it on. So our new 8274s have that. But there are a couple of other companies out there like Gigglepin that make these just unbelievably. I mean, you have to run alongside it. They're unbelievable.
Do you have to have like 4 batteries to power them?
That is a very good question. The ones that my friend in New Zealand showed me, and he had one on his wheeling rig, are PTO. So the good thing about the PTO winches is you can like shift into another gear and it'll just speed it up and you keep going faster and faster. However, one of the selling points for Warren Industries winches in the late 50s and early 60s was, if anybody has ever wheeled a carbureted vehicle and got it on a very steep incline, starves it for fuel and the engine shuts off, and then you don't have a PTO winch available to you. So that is the benefit of the electric winch. Early benefit was having it attached to batteries. I don't know how many batteries some of these guys use, though. They've got to be some mega batteries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally, if you haven't watched any of these videos, I challenge the viewers / listeners to go watch them. They're hot rodding these winches. I've seen some that have like a disc air brake on them because they're going so fast they have to stop it, when they let off, and it has like an air brake to slow it down. Like like you said, when he says they're running beside the vehicle, they are running beside the vehicle while winching. It's unreal.
Well, I don't like to run. That sounds like too much for me.
Same.
It's work.
We got one more question here in the comments. This is from Dan Cronin. He says, "Hey guys, Happy New Year. Andy, can you talk a little about the electric motors used on Warren winches, waterproof, horsepower, amp load limitations? Thanks."
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Dan. So all of our winches use different motors, right? So some use more powerful motors than others. The waterproofing, we'll start with that. It depends on the winch, right? So our Xeon Platinum, and VR Evo series are all going to be IP68 waterproof. That includes the motor end. So that's going to be a tested, certified rating that we have for those winches. Some of our other winches, like our M8000, our M12, some of these winches that don't have an official waterproof rating. With regards to the motors, we generally recommend that if you are submerging those winches and then running them, that first of all, we don't really recommend using them underwater if you don't have to. But if they get dunked, or even if you did have to use it underwater briefly, we recommend that you pull the winch off and re-lubricate everything and so on, especially on the gear side. But the motor side, again, they're not actually waterproof rated. Let's see. The other part of that, let's see. Horsepower. Horsepower is one of these things. Everybody wants to know what the motor horsepower is. What's the motor horsepower? Well, this so-and-so claims 10 horsepower. So-and-so claims 7 horsepower. Horsepower doesn't mean a whole lot on an electric winch, to be honest, because really what's more important is the gear ratios on the winch. So the different gear ratios are going to provide you different load capacities, different line speeds, that kind of stuff. There's a lot can be done with gear reduction. That's one reason why, for instance, we have a little portable winch called the drill winch, right? This is gear reduction in action, where we have a portable pulling tool. It weighs up about 12 pounds, and you chuck your electric drill on there, right? So you can chuck your DeWalt or Toshiba, your Hitachi, whatever it is, on there, and you can pull 750 pounds using a drill. Well, that's because of the gear reduction. So we don't bother to publish motor horsepower stuff because it's really not that relevant. So and then amp load limitations. I'm not really sure if you're talking about with the motors on the winches or on an alternator or whatnot, but I can tell you that winches draw lots of amps. Just it's their nature, the big motors and all that stuff. They pull a lot of power. So we recommend 650 cold cranking amp minimum on a battery for a truck winch. We also recommend the battery be in good shape, right? You can have an old battery that had 650 cold cranking amps, brand new from your local store. But if you've used it a lot, or if you winch a lot with that battery, it might be low. So you might not get optimal performance on there. Another associated question we get with this, by the way, as a side note, is do I need to run a circuit breaker, or do I need to run some sort of disconnect? We recommend you wire it directly to the battery. You would have to have a huge, crazy fuse or circuit breaker to withstand that initial amp draw from a winch. So, but we've been selling winches since 1959, and we've been wiring them up that way. You could use, and some people do, like an Anderson connector, a big, hefty connector. We sell those as part of our multi-mount kits for our portable winches that are in cradles. So you can put a 10,000-pound winch on one of these, and you run wiring to the front and rear of the vehicle, and you can connect and disconnect it. I hope that answered your question, Dan.
So if someone's battery is low, they don't have enough cold cranking amps, they just go to like AutoZone and ask for some cold cranking amps, and they just take the caps off and pour some in.
Yeah, just make sure you use the funnel.
The funnel, yeah. You don't want to spill them.
No, they're expensive.
Yeah, it's no fun to your battery when you winch all day and really hard and turn it down, and then you turn around and use your battery as a part of a portable welder setup. You need a new battery after that.
Yeah, I have a couple of batteries in one of my Pajeros, and somebody had left the light on in the Pajero for like 5 days, and it's twin AGM batteries, and I thought, oh God. So I went and bought a charger, and I topped them off, and thankfully they came back and had no problems. But that's another thing is investing $40 in a battery charger before you go out if you're out for a week at a time, or even if you're going somewhere that's going to have potential hard winching scenarios, top those batteries off. Just make sure that they're ready to go for that. It's not like any other sort of bit of maintenance.
Absolutely. Yeah, get them going before you go.
Right.
Yep.
Well, Andy, where can our listeners find you?
Like my home address?
No.
Oh.
Let's go with Warren this time. The Facebooks, the Instagrams, YouTubes, and the web.
Yes, absolutely. So we are at warren.com. That's WARN.com, one syllable. Then we're also, and then Facebook.com/Warren fans. Or we're just WARN. We've got like 690,000 followers. We're that one. There's a couple of other ones out there, but that's us. Instagram, we're at Warren Industries. Twitter, we're at Warren Industries. YouTube, we are WWWARNCOM. So unfortunate, but that's where we are. So we're on all the major social medias. We have a blog site on warren.com as well. And then we have customer service available from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Call now. Actually, don't call now because we're not open. So, but anyway.
How about if anybody wants to follow Andy and Mercedes? How can they find you guys?
Well, we have a restraining order on most people. So no, if you want to follow me, my wife and I run crankshaftculture.com, which is at crankshaftculture.com, as well as at crankshaftculture on Instagram. We have a Facebook page, Facebook group, and we're even on Twitter every now and then at crankshaftcult. That's my little thing I do on the side when I'm not doing this thing all day. So we do all kinds of fun things. We generally take it. We have sort of an eclectic approach to vehicles. We like all the vehicles, not just the Jeeps and the Tacomas. So.
And I suppose if they want to read some of the stuff you write, who are you guys getting your articles published in?
So I write a monthly column, or it's a bi-monthly magazine called Andy's Oddities, which is all about kind of the offbeat four-wheel drives, and that's in Trails Magazine. Trails Magazine is a sister publication to Crawl Magazine, if you've seen that. So it's trails-magazine.com. My wife is a full-time writer as well. She writes for Tread Magazine. She publishes stories in the New York Times. She writes for Toyota Cruisers and Trucks. She writes for lots of people. So, but my wife is Mercedes Lilienthal, so she writes for lots of people. So we just do a lot of writing. We do a lot of car stuff.
I got one last question. I haven't seen it yet. So are you at liberty to tell us what the title of your Lada issue is?
Okay, so my next column in Trails Magazine is about the Lada Niva, which is a Russian-made four-wheel drive. The best part about, by the way, writing this column is infiltrating the groups and learning about these things from enthusiasts. Because people, I don't care if you drive a Tacoma, I don't care if you drive a Nissan Frontier, or if you drive a Lada Niva, people are passionate about what they wheel, what they drive. And it's been awesome. I really, really wanted to call it A Whole Lot of Love, but it had been done before, so I didn't do that. I think it's been.
Okay.
I think it's called what is it, like the Roughneck Russian or so? I can't remember exactly what I called it, but I just submitted it a couple weeks ago. So, but that was a real fun one. I ended up connecting with a bunch of Icelandic Lada owners.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's wild because. Iceland, I was in Iceland in 2019, and Iceland is an interesting place. It's amazing. But the biggest city is Reykjavik, which is 120,000 people. Okay, 120,000 people. The second largest city, and I'm probably not pronouncing it right, is Akureyri, and it's 18,000 people. That's number two.
Wow.
So, but both of these Lada owners were in that town, and he reached out to me, and one of the guys reached out to me and said, our local newspaper may want to do a story on the fact that I'm getting into an American four-wheel drive magazine, and they may reach out to you. I'm like, that's totally cool. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, it's so cool. But anyway, I talk to people all over the world, literally, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Canada, Iceland, all about these little Ladas. I want to drive one. Little 1.7 liter, 1.6 liter, full-time four-wheel drive, lockable center differential. I mean, they're just goats, mountain goats.
I shared a story. I think it might be in an upcoming episode for news. There's word on the street that the Ladas might be coming to the United States.
No, that's
the UAZ.
That's the ooze.
Oh,
Yeah,
ooze.
That's totally different.
Damn.
Yeah. Is that are they pronounced ooze? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but that's what I call them, is ooze.
Yeah, the ooze. I saw that little thing. That it's the ooze Patriot.
Yeah,
So-
Patriot. Yep. It looks to me like about the same size as a Suzuki XL7 or something like that.
Yeah, solid front and rear axles, body on frame, 2-speed T-case. I'm like, man, like that's pretty sweet. I don't know what the quality is going to be like. I assume pretty decent though.
It just needs some more horsepower. Yeah, I think
150 horsepower.
Yeah, not quite enough for how heavy that thing was. 5,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's a low power to weight ratio. I did the calculation on it, and it looks to be similar to like a Suzuki Sidekick from which had 95 horsepower. I had a Sidekick that weighed 3,000 pounds with the winches or the winch and the bumper, and it made 95 horsepower new at the crank in 95. But it's probably going to be around there, I think.
Coy, you frozen?
Yeah, it looks like he is.
Yeah, I think we lost him. He'll have to ask you in the after show his question.
Well, Andy, we really appreciate you coming on, man.
My pleasure. I always enjoy coming on your show. It's tons of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it won't be too long till you're back on again, right?
Cool. Yeah, hope not.
Yep. We want to thank everybody who listens to us weekly, and also to those of you guys who stuck with us for this extra long show, watching us live on YouTube and on Facebook. We really appreciate you guys. Help us share the love. Share us with your friends out there on the internet. Tell them about our podcast, and help us grow. And God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous, and thanks for listening.